Yeah, we've got a lot of information that's given. We're just going to kind of rip through all of these because they are very much directly related to one another. But I will start with kind of the setup. This could be what people are like looking for out of this video is like, I don't even know what a prime cost is. Well, prime costs, direct materials plus direct labor. Total manufacturing overhead, that's just manufacturing overhead costs. Total conversion costs, that's direct labor plus manufacturing overhead. Total product costs, direct materials plus direct labor plus manufacturing overhead. And then total period costs, it's just period costs or S, G, and A. So selling, general, and administrative, or just selling and administrative. All of those are used interchangeably. So that's really what we're doing in this one. So maybe this is helpful. You can kind of take a look at that, try it again on your own if you want to. Or you can just watch me now label because this is the only difficult part about this is labeling all of the costs that were given appropriately. And then we're just paying attention and adding correctly. Okay. So for SG&A, I'm just going to write period costs, right? So I'm just going to write a P up here because I don't want to write SG and A. Ampersand. Drawing that over and over again is not fun. Okay. So we are going to go through and label all of these, starting with direct material. What do you think that is? That's going to be direct material. The word bank, by the way, is all those things that we just labeled. Direct materials, direct labor, manufacturing overhead, or P, period costs. Okay, next one, ad expense. What do you think? What do you think? Advertising expense. That is a selling cost. That is period cost. Depreciation on the factory. Okay, that's going to be key there, but that is manufacturing overhead. Okay, direct labor for wages. That's just direct labor. It tells us that explicitly. Cost in ending finished goods. Okay, that's actually nothing. That's just, that's going to include some of our direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. But, those are added to the system before. Those are added when those are added to work in process. So it's really once direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead are added, then it's already flowing over into finished goods later on as a different inventory account. So it's just saying that that's the ending in finished goods. Okay, well, the costs had already been added throughout the period. So that's really what we're focused on in this video. We're doing nothing with that 150. Indirect labor. Indirect labor is going to be considered a manufacturing overhead item. Production supervisor salary. So again, that person's overseeing production necessary for production to occur. So it is part of making the product, but it's going to be considered manufacturing overhead because it's not directly associated with actually like hammering and like, sanding and like putting together the goods. So it's going to be indirect labor, another indirect labor piece. Service department costs all provided to the manufacturing department. This is again going to be manufacturing overhead, still integral to the manufacturing or the production process, but not going to be not going to be any other item. So it's not going to be direct labor. It's going to be indirect. Okay, direct labor fringe benefits also considered direct labor. Indirect labor fringe benefits. We're back to indirect labor as being manufacturing overhead, and then also the production supervisors fringe benefits, also MOH. Total overtime premiums paid to production facility employees. The production facility employees, overtime, production facility, but really production facility employees. Let's just say that they are like janitors and stuff, janitors, etc. But really, that total overtime is going to be considered MOH as well. I would definitely argue. I would definitely argue that total overtime premiums, especially if it's going to be for like frontline workers, that would be considered direct labor. Okay, but total overtime premiums, just production facility employees that are like working all over the place, that's going to be more manufacturing overhead. It really should be more specific or more clear about what kind of facility employees this overtime is applying to. But for these purposes, we are going to consider that that is manufacturing overhead. Okay, cost of idle time for production employees. We're just going to consider that manufacturing overhead. That is going to be considered a manufacturing overhead item. Sometimes it'll tell you like very explicitly, like with a footnote or something, that that's the case. Admin costs. This is where we get into our period costs. Salesperson office space, also period cost. Sales commission, also period cost. Product marketing and promotion costs, also period costs. So now that everything is labeled, okay, we've done the hard part. the easy part is then adding it up correctly. So direct materials plus direct labor, 2.4 million plus 480,000 plus 90,000. So 2.4 million plus 480,000 plus 90,000. We get 2.97 million. Okay, MOH. That's our next item. So let's go ahead and add up all of our MOH items. Let me get my head at least a little bit out of the way. All right, we've got 120,000. Okay, 160,000. 80,000. 110,000. 40,000. 20,000. 60,000. And 30,000. All right, and we got 512. Total conversion cost, we're going to take that 512 and add direct labor to it. We got 512 still in the calculator. We're going to add 480,000 and 90,000. We get 1,082,000. And compute total product costs. You can just take that direct labor plus manufacturing overhead, add direct materials. We got the 1,082,000 that we're going to then add 2.4 million. We got 3.482. 3.482 million. And then we add up all of our P's. So don't get caught here. Here we've got all four of those. Plus, this is a little sneaky one up here in the very beginning with our ad expense of 100,000. So here we'd have 100,000 plus 175,000 plus 10,000 plus 8,000 plus 12,000. Okay, so I just added up the 100,000 plus all four of these down at the bottom, and that is 305. Oops, 305,000. Perfect. Now the very last one, which of the following costs are considered an opportunity cost? So admin costs, no, not necessarily. Rental space for salespeople, yeah, maybe. Sales commission, not usually. Cost of finished goods inventory for the year, no. Direct labor fringe benefits, that's just part of salaries or wages. And then just promotion costs, like what are we're not losing out on anything, but this rental space cost for salespeople, that it was previously being used for storage and now it is not. So we have this like additional cost for additional office space because we are utilizing what was previously used as office space for storage, like we're storing raw materials there or something. So because that is now being used up or being utilized, it's forcing the salespeople away. And so the opportunity to use that space is now gone. You might say, okay, well, that's not a big deal. Like now we're renting office space. Yeah. But before we were not having to rent office space. We were utilizing that storage, place or room or whatever. And now, if we're putting a dollar amount to it, like how much that costs us, well, it's, if we didn't have this used as a storage room, we could just put our salespeople there and save 10 grand. So that's 10 grand is an opportunity cost because we are, foregoing saving that money. Okay, so that's it for this video. Hopefully all of that makes sense, but I will see you in the next one.